So, welcome back, participants. And now we will start our next session. So, this session will be taken by Mr. Jigyasu, and his topic will be 3D images to model, 3D image data visualization analysis, model generation, biomechanics, and 3D printing using Simpleware software, I guess. So let me introduce first. Mr. Jigyasu is working as an application engineer in Integrated Microsystem Gurgaon. Uh, he works with image processing tools, material modeling, CAD, finite element analysis, and computational fluid dynamics models based on 3D image data, looks over the technical support for Simpleware software, and closely work with Simpleware customers to help them with their designs, research, and modeling needs, provides live demonstration to various IITs, NITs, hospitals, and faculties of various institutions who are working in the field of medical image processing, medical devices, patient specific implant design, surgical planning, 3D printing, material modeling, manufacturing, and simulation. He also works closely with engineers, researchers to solve problems through their service projects, technical support, and training. So, warm welcome to our speakers. Now, I would like to hand over the session to you. Uh, I guess Pankaj sir has made you people as
Yes,
co-host.
yes.
Yeah. So now you can uh, unmute and share your screen.
Uh, Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. I hope my voice is audible.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll just start by sharing my screen.
yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir, for inviting us for this session. So today's I will demonstrate and present this medical image processing domain today. So the topic of our demonstration is 3D images to models, 3D image visualization, analysis, model generation, and 3D printing preparation. So before we discuss about the complete processes, so we need to understand what is medical image processing. So medical image processing simply means to uh, take some data sets from MRI, CT scanners, or any other modality and do some transformation, filtering, image segmentation, and morphological operations to it, and get output, relevant output, which we can utilize for analysis, 3D printing, or any other application. So that is what medical image processing is. This is the medical image processing system. And one more thing, if during the demonstration or presentation, if anyone has any queries, they can ask me the questions at that time as well, or we can have a Q&A session at the end. So this is the basic medical image processing system. It starts with acquisition of images. Then we do the processing, and then we have the visualization and reporting. Today, I'll be discussing mostly about the processing part. So the processing part includes pre-processing of the data so that we can start working on it. Then we do the segmentation of our region of interest. We detect our region of interest and detect the anomaly, whatever we want to see in that data set. Then we analyze it and prepare the results, and then further diagnosis can be done. So this is what we will discuss today. So image-based modeling is now being used in many fields, mostly because it reveals internal and external features. It is a non-invasive method, and it finds its application in both industrial and medical settings. Realistic simulations are requirement of realistic simulations are also increasing every day, and the capabilities of finite element analysis and computational fluid dynamic codes are also expanding. And access to high specification hardware is also increasing is increasing our capabilities for doing simulations. These are the different parts of the medical image processing workflow. We will discuss about these one by one. So this is the workflow. The typical workflow we can say. So we start by 3D image import and do the visualization of the data. We do the segmentation and processing. After that, we have measurement and analysis for our region of interest. Then if required, we do import CAD models and do the image integration. If required, we do model generation. And to automate some part of the workflow, we also do scripting and use some automated tools. So let's start by discussing the 3D image import and visualization. So 3D image data can be imported from any modality. That can be MRI, CT, micro-CT, confocal microscopy, FibSim, or 2D image stacks or raw image data. While importing the data to improve the visualization, we can co-register multiple data sets. We can utilize various tools or various different tools of software to do some kind of pre-processing to our data set to reduce noise, artifacts, and smoothen the images. These are various import formats for typical medical image processing software. So DICOM is mostly used, a widely used image format that is imported into the softwares for processing. DICOM tags, they also come along with him, which carry data regarding the image extent, spacing, orientation, patient information, etc. DICO-ND is also being used for non-destructive evaluation in materials and manufacturing applications. And then we have some 2D image stacks, which we usually get from micro-CT scanners. So they can be BMP, GIF, TIFF files. And they come in stack of these images. We just have to know the spacing between them, and we get a similar output as a DICOM as also. We also import and work with CAD files like STL, PLY, IGS, or STEP files type of data sets. Next step in the workflow for medical image processing is doing segmentation and processing. So for segmentation, we can utilize automated and semi-automated tools to get to our region of interest, whatever that may be. It may be a hard tissue or soft tissue. So based on the thresholding or the grayscale values, we can segment our region of interest. We can utilize very specific or specialized tools to achieve this purpose, like split, merge, watershed-based segmentation, slice to slice propagation. After we have done the segmentation of our region of interest, we we can do some measurements and do some analysis on it. We can calculate the diameter, the length, any kind of measurement, angle measurements we can do. And while by doing these kind of measurement, it gives us an idea while doing the diagnosis of the medical data. So we can again utilize software's capability to do the measurement very easily. We can automatically calculate the wall thickness. We can do a center line fitting like this to calculate the diameter at various points for a blood vessel in this example. We can use the extensive range of metrics to quantify phases, porosity, fractures, delaminations of the particles. Next step could be CAD image integration. So as I said earlier, this can be an optional step for some people. So in this step, we import CAD models. In most cases, it would be an implant. So we want to check the fit of the implant with the human anatomy. So for that, we import the CAD models and integrate it with our existing 3D model that we segmented earlier. And we usually check the fit of the implant with the anatomy, and we use various tools to check that. We register the two different models. So I think in the demonstration part, I will show you how we do this. By doing this CAD image integration, we also analyze the material usage, and various different analysis can be done after importing. We can export finite element models for doing the simulation along with the implant to understand the load bearing capacity of an implant, for example. Next step can be model generation. So as I said, model can be generated for simulation purposes. This is on the screen, we have a finite element model of the pelvic section. So this model is generated with volume meshes, these tetrahedral elements, and this is ready to be exported for simulation. So a software's capability to generate a model can be utilized here to configure it with different boundary conditions. The model can be a surface model, a volume mesh, whatever our requirement may be. These are various export formats which can be exported from a software. This may not be applicable for all softwares, but we have background image exports, we have surface model export in STL, IGS, or some software specific exports as well for if you want to further do analysis in ANSYS, Abacus. So we can export directly to them as well. For finite element models, we can also export directly to different softwares. So here we are exporting the mesh file to that specific software so that our models and the measurement and the boundary conditions that we have set is included in that export. Similarly, we can export for computational fluid dynamics analysis, and for NURBS model also we can export. That's non-uniform rational B-splines. We can also export from medical image processing software. We can utilize some scripting and some automated tools to ease our segmentation process and automate some parts of the segmentation and pre-processing parts. So here you can see how easily we can convert a log to the Python script. So here we are converting it so that next time I don't have to go through different tools and use and do the image processing. I can just create a Python script and run it again and again to automate and repeat that task. So it saves our time. So scripting and automation is also a part of the workflow for medical image processing. So now this is the workflow for the medical image processing. Now we will discuss about some case studies. So as we mostly use Simpleware software, so we will discuss about Simpleware case studies. So the first case study is variability and accuracy of spine segmentation. In this case study, the users have checked the accuracy of segmentation done by a software and compare it with the physical model, physical anatomy. For this, cadaveric spine lumbar vertebrae was taken, and it was CT scanned, and a model was generated out of it. So this is the scan that you are seeing that was taken from the cadaveric for the cadaveric lumbar vertebrae, and this is the model that has been generated from the software. So once the model is generated, the image processing, once the image processing is done, all these different vertebrae are split into different parts. And the various morphological tools are utilized like flood fill, smoothing, and some closing filters were utilized to get the final model. And then the analysis was done. So the model was then exported to MATLAB, and it was compared with the original scan. So the vertebrae was from the cadaveric model. It was cleaned of all the tissues and disarticulated from their neighbors, and rescanned and segmented without any adjacent vertebrae and soft tissues. So that gave a very clear image, and then that was segmented and that was compared with the earlier model. So that showed that there was a very good accuracy between the two models. The RMS error was below 0.39 mm for accuracy based on comparison between these two models. So this showed how accurate the segmentation was done, and that it can be utilized for future studies involving patient-specific modeling of lumbar spine. Here we can see a distance map between the two models. Again, if at any point anyone has any queries, they can ask them at that point itself. So the next case study is total hip replacement implant positioning. So implant positioning is a significant challenge for total hip replacements. The position of implant can affect the output of that surgery. So the load bearing capacity also depends on the position of the implant in respect with the femur. So to check that, this image processing was done, and the implant, the CAD implant was positioned into the femur. Finite element meshing was then done to simulate and find out various mechanical properties. And in this case, stress analysis was done, and a response surface model was generated using ANSYS. So this, again, this finite element model was generated along with the implant to check what would be the best position to put this implant in. ANSYS software was then used to determine the best implant position that leads to highest and lowest possible values of micromotion. Then these results can be interpreted by a surgeon to identify the position. And here, automated tool was developed using Simpleware software and ANSYS for combining this image data and finite element analysis, So here you can see that this would be the best position and this would be the worst position for the implant to be in. So this was found out doing the simulation using ANSYS and SimpleWare software. So this tool therefore has significant applications for surgical planning in addition to implant research and development. In similar case, to understand how the implant was interacting with the anatomy, it could have been exported for 3D printing. So this model over here could have been exported for 3D printing to see how the implant fits with the model. And that would have given the surgery team a better idea and a model to practice on to be prepared to go for the surgery. Okay, so okay. So next I will change my screen and share a software screen so that I can show you all the things that I discussed in this presentation. So we will do the medical image processing. We're using a demo data set. Okay, so I hope the screen is now visible for the software.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So this is the overview of the SimpleWare software. I will start by importing a DICOM dataset. So I have already imported, but this is how we import. So we simply click on DICOM, and this is my folder where I have the DICOM images. So I'm importing a pelvic dataset. I can visualize that this is the correct data that I want to import. I have various DICOM tags over here as well to verify before importing.
So this DICOM file, from where we will receive it?
This is a CT scan, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so the output from a CT scanner is usually given in DICOM format.
Okay.
So here we can see that this is a CT modality. If it was a MRI scan, it would say MR over here.
Okay.
So the DICOM, this particular DICOM is a CT scan of a patient. So this is the pelvic data set. So I will click finish, but I have already imported, so I can go back here. So this is the data set that I have imported. I have all the three axes over here, this coronal, sagittal, and axial planes. And I can visualize the data set by just moving and to see, to identify my region of interest. So in this case, I would like to do the segmentation of the bony structure. So that is very clearly visible in a CT scan. So I'll be doing that segmentation. And we can, as I said, we can scroll through all the three planes to see the data set. We also have a 3D view over here. It is showing a visualization of the model that we have imported. So right now it is just showing the bone structure. I can change it. I can change it to see different type of images. So this is just a volume rendering. So it also gives us a good idea about what kind of data set we have imported even before starting the image processing process. So let's see the bone. So, okay, this is the bone structure that we are going to segment. So now we can start our image processing. So first step of the image processing is always identifying our region of interest. So in this data set, it is already cropped to a specific region, but sometimes we get a whole body MRI or CT scan. So I need to identify a specific region so that whatever tools we use, it it is not utilizing it is not working on the complete data set. That would take more time and would require more hardware specifications. So before that, I have already cropped it to my region of interest. Now I can use tools from this, any tools from this available list. So based on our data set and our requirements, we can change how we start to do the segmentation. So in this case, as it is a CT scan and I already have to segment this bone structure, so I will use threshold because it is very clearly visible. I can visualize this so that I can see what I'm going to import, what I'm going to segment. So here I am just selecting a specific grayscale section, grayscale range. So this looks good for starting the segmentation. So this is the initial segmentation that I have done. So as you can see, it is done very quickly using the threshold tool. So thresholding simply means to select a specific grayscale range. This grayscale range can vary for different type of tissues. As you can see here, for a CT scan, the bone tissue occurs usually between the grayscale range of 230 to 3020. And for muscles, it's different. For fat, it's different. For skin, it's different. So we need to identify what is our region of interest, and we will do the segmentation, use the thresholding accordingly. Now that we have done this initial segmentation, I will remove all this noise that we have that I don't need. So I can use either go ahead and remove this individually. Obviously, that will take more time, or we can use a tool, mask flood fill tool, to remove them automatically. Okay. So what it did is it removed any part that was not directly connected to this my region of interest. So this looks fine.
Sir.
Now, the next step could be multiple things. It can be filling up these cavities. So for this data set, my end goal is to 3D print the femur, a femur or the any other pelvic bone. I want to 3D print it. So keeping that in mind, I want to do a few things. I want to split these sections, these femurs I want separately. I want this hip bone separate. I want the sacrum separate. And then I want to fill up these cavities that are present here because I don't want internal features in this case. So first I will do the splitting. I want to split these sections, the femur and the hip bone. So let's do that. That can be done by multiple methods. It can be done completely manually, working slice by slice, or I can use a tool that I have here that is split region. So let's add a region. So our one region is this. I'm just giving the software an idea about what regions I want to split. Our second region is this femur, the left one. And our third region is the complete hip section. That includes the sacrum. Give me a second. Okay, so now we have identified our three regions. So I see that we also have a query over in the chat box. Is Synopsys modeling this? Okay, so as I discussed in the first case study in the presentation, so there I discussed how we identified that the segmentation done in the software is accurate enough to use in patient-specific surgical operations. So using the Simpleware, Synopsys Simpleware's medical version, we can generate surgical models. So yes, we can. It can be used during an operation, during surgery. The question was from Dr. Savitesh Sharma. I hope it answered. If any follow-up questions, please let me know. So once I have identified the regions that I want to split, I simply click on apply. So the splitting is being done using algorithm that is mask distance transform. So it is trying to identify the least distance between the regions that I have identified. So these three sections are now split. So in the 2D view, I can see the splitting is split looks good. We can check this in the 3D view as well. I'll generate a fast preview. So here also it looks like the splitting has been done nicely. I can also go ahead and do the splitting for the sacrum and the hip bones, or I can leave it at this point because right now I'm interested in a femur only. So my region of interest is this right femur. So what I will do, I will isolate my right femur. So I will isolate this. So here I can see there are many cavities that are not actually present in the anatomy. This can be identified using the 2D view over here. So this is mostly, this error is occurring mostly because of the resolution of the image that we have. We don't always get a very good quality of CT scan to work with. So what we can do here is we can fill up these cavities using some semi-automated and manual tools. So let's do that. So what we need to do is we need to fill up any boundaries that are open. So once we close up the boundaries, we have a covered structure. So we can use a simple tool to fill that up. So as I informed earlier that I don't need the internal features in this case. If I had needed that, I could have kept this internal cavity. But right now I don't need it. So I will just fill everything up. So I can start over here. I will select the paint tool. This is a completely manual approach to do this. And this part may take time. So getting a completely accurate model, the segmentation process takes time. So that is one thing we need to be sure of. So let me just complete this paint process. So as I'm working through the slices, I can also visualize it to see the changes live over here. So here you can see I'm working on every third slice. So we can see that these are the paints that I'm doing. So that is also very helpful sometimes. Okay. So now I have covered up the boundaries at every third slice. So I could have done this. I could have done this on every slices. So that would take more time, and obviously it will create a more accurate model. But for this demonstration purpose, I was just working on every third slice. So now I will use a tool that I have that is close to. This is a morphological operation, and it will use the algorithms to close up the open surfaces. So these are open surfaces that we have, but it will work with a restriction of pixels that I give here. So I have 3 because I was working on every third slice. So I'll click apply. I can refresh the view. So here you can see it has been closed mostly. So let's see where it is open. Okay, so here I can see that this part is open. So let's leave it for this demonstration purpose. I'll just go ahead and fill this up. Okay, now it looks fine. So now only thing that we have is the internal cavities. So I don't need this. So I will use a cavity fill tool to close up the cavities that are completely enclosed. So it will fill up these small cavities that I have on top. I can visualize the same thing in 3D view. So this is the internal cavity. So at this point, I can decide whether I need it or not. So I'll just go ahead and fill that up. Now I have a completely solid model. Here I can see it. So once we have this, change the opacity back to 1. I can apply some smoothing filter. So this is all process that I'm doing is in the segmentation and processing. So now we are doing some post processing. We have completed our segmentation for the region of interest. So I will apply a recursive Gaussian smoothing filter. So this looks fine. Same thing can be verified with the 2D view, that whether our segmentation is done nicely or not. So I can see that it is covering up to most of the boundary. Obviously, we can make it more accurate by giving it more time during the segmentation. So here I can see that the segmentation has been done nicely. And smoothing has also not affected the actual geometry much. So now our next step would be to prepare it for 3D printing. So I can do 2 things here. I can either directly export it in STL. Here I can generate a model preview and export it to STL. So here I have an STL export dialog box. I can directly export it or I can generate internal lattices in here so that I have more control over the materials that are going to be used and over the structure strength as well. So I will go to surface tools. Before that, I will just convert this to surfaces. So here I have an option that is mask to surface. So I'm just converting this model to a surface model. So this is the surface. It is a surface because we can see that I am only seeing a single line on the contour of this model and no fillings. It is completely hollow. So this is a surface model for us. Now I will generate an internal structure out of it. So I'm using this internal structure wizard. I can use this, or I can incorporate my own equation for the internal lattice or the lattice structure. So for shell, these values completely depend on the 3D printing hardware that we have. So for me, I will keep it at 2. I can generate a 2 mm shell thickness. What type of unit cell we want? So we can, I can go ahead with the gyroid. So this is the structure that I'm going to generate inside. I can go ahead with other structures as well as per my requirement. So let's go with gyroid as well. I can change the unit cell size over here. I'll keep these things at default right now. So it is generating the internal structure with the lattice that I selected. I can visualize the internal structure to verify the internal lattice that has been generated. So here it is. Now, for me, it is ready for the 3D printing. So why I generated these internal lattices so that I don't have to work to do this process on the software for the printer. So I can control the type of internal lattice, the distribution, the size using the internal tools, built-in tools. So now I can export it for 3D printing. And it will export the internal lattices as well. So here I have option to export it. I can directly export and save it and then import back to the printer. So now let me okay. Now that we have exported it, I can go ahead and try to import a different project so that I can show you the complete model. Is the changed screen visible, sir? Can someone verify?
Oh, the screen is same what we were looking earlier.
Okay. Actually, I'm not getting that option over here to stop the presentation and change. Let me check. Okay, now I have it. So this is the complete model that has been generated from that data set. So earlier I was just working on the femur, but here I have already generated the sacrum, hip bones, and the other femur as well. So yeah, so this is a complete model for that system.
What is the hardware requirement for this software, Synopsys?
So this software specifically requires not much, but let me just show you.
Is it free to download, sir? Open source?
It's a commercial tool, sir.
Commercial tool. Okay. Sir.
Yeah. So this is the requirement for system requirements for this software.
Okay. Minimum 16 GB memory is required, RAM.
Yes. So actually this depends on what type of data set you are working for. Most kind of CT and MRI scans, it's sufficient. But if you are going to generate a finite element model, then maybe more RAM would be required.
Okay.
So that completely depends on the requirement. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I think I have more time. Can I?
Yeah, please carry on.
Okay. So I would just like to show one more thing. So this is also related to 3D printing preparation. So this data set that I worked on is a healthy data set, but most of the time people who practically work don't get this kind of data set. So let me just work on that kind of data set. I'm just importing it. So in this data set, we have a fractured mandible. We can see this in the rendering as well. And the segmentation has been done already. So I can generate a 3D preview. So this is the region of interest segmentation. So if I was to export this for 3D printing, it is not ready for 3D printing. So I need to prepare this beforehand. Before exporting the STL file. So in the latest release of the software, we have got this 3D printing toolkit. So that would help us to either emboss a patient ID on the model so that it can be identified after 3D printing, or we can create connectors as well so that the broken parts are not separated and the distance between them is maintained even after the 3D printing has been done. So I can change the view that. Sorry. So one connector has been created there. So it completely depends on the surgeon where they want their model, where they want their connectors to be. The position needs to be identified by them. That is the good thing to do in this case. So this is one of the connectors. Similarly, we can generate connectors here. So obviously we need more connectors over here, but you get the idea that these things are something extra that we need to do case by case basis. So, so this is about the 3D printing preparation. We can check we can color proof, we can check the color profiles. So currently I don't have it available because I don't have a 3D printer connected here. So if a 3D printer was connected, I could have color proofed it for that specific 3D printer. And I could also check the printability of the model. And then I can directly export this to disk. So we have multiple export formats that may be supported with most of the printers. So STL is widely used, but we have some other specific formats as well. Okay. So this is the embossing tool that we can use. So it should be on the completely on the surface before generating. So this is another tool that we have. So now I can directly export. So this is the complete project that I prepared for showing during this session today. And let me go back to the presentation. So now I would like to take questions if someone have something.
So for the case of that Framer case study that you have shown right now, can you just show how we can import this to some FEA softwares?
Okay, so that the model that I have demonstrated or the one I presented in the soft presentation?
Anyone. I just want to see means how we can import this, just like you have shown it, how we can do its 3D printing. So just after this synopsis, how we can import the file in ANSYS.
Okay, so I can show this from the software side, the simpleware side. So let me start. So this was the model that I have generated already.
Okay.
So in this case, let me just delete some other masks because generating a FE model takes much time.
Okay.
Or I can leave it. Okay. So now this is a finite element model. So I have generated a model over here. It is already generated, but I can generate by simply clicking here. So now this is a model, new model generated. I can drag and drop my mask in here. And then I have a new tab generated over here, that's FE model. So I have this setup model tab, and here I can configure my finite element model. So first of all, I need to decide in which software I'm going to export. So these are some software specific outputs that I can take from here. So I will leave it at Abacus at this point. We can change the volume meshing coarseness, the coarseness of the elements that we are going to generate. Over here, I can decide about the materials. I can give material properties, either they are homogeneous or heterogeneous. In case of heterogeneous, I can define the material properties based on their grayscale values. So that is also advanced setting that I have here. So I can do this for every part separately. So let's say that we have had two parts over here. One was bone and another was a metal implant. So I can define material properties for both the materials separately. Then I can generate some contact points if my end goal was to do some load-bearing analysis. I can generate some contact points, some node sets, and some cell sets at our region of interest. Then I can also do a mesh refinement. So let's say that this next section was my region of interest. So I could generate a frustum over here like this. And the section enclosing here would have a different refinement of mesh so that we get more accurate results for this section. So that can also be done. And then we can define some boundary layers in case of a CFD analysis. So I will leave that. And let me just generate a full model over here quickly. Oh, it will do it for the complete process. So it will take some time. Let me.
So the meshing, material property assignment, everything will be done over here only in this software.
Yes.
So we can use their solvers only by applying the boundary conditions and we can see the results.
Right. So once you have exported this to the solver, you just need to give the different parameters for those contact points or the node sets that you have already defined here. So once you give the parameter of load or whatever kind of parameter you want to give, then you can run the simulation.
Okay.
So I have a question in the chat box. Can you differentiate between Materialize and Simpleware software? So both are tools for medical image processing. Both are commercial tools and they have some differences. I think I can discuss with you through mail. That would be much better. Dr. Sai Prasad Kanchi. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself Vinay Kumar Reddy.
Good afternoon.
So whatever, good afternoon, sir. Whatever the model you shown for hip joint, femur bone.
Okay.
That is that implant. If once it is fabricated, that can be used as a implant for the patients, or it's only prototype.
During the case study, that I showed you.
Whatever the model you created, no, sir, in this, so that is going to be printed, right, sir?
Okay. Yeah.
So the printed model can be used for implant for the patients?
No, sir, because this is anatomy, right? I mean, if we were working with the implant, in that case, yes, we can export it and maybe metal print it for that purpose. So for that, we have a different version of this software, that is the medical version, that is FDA and CS approved for this purpose.
Okay, sir. Then, if in that case, we model, I mean, we printed that component, then what will be the life of that component? How long it will survive in the body?
So that is what we analyze using the simulation. So we do simulation in solvers to identify like the lifespan. I can't say if we can identify using simulation, but that completely depends on the material property and its compatibility, its biocompatibility.
Okay, sir.
So those factors need to be taken care of before deciding the lifespan.
Okay,
So,
sir.
but we can check the load bearing capacity and other things using simulation.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, actually, I want to talk to you personally, so I'll take the numbers from Jayaprakash sir, and I'll talk to you in the evening, sir.
Sure,
Is
sure.
it okay, sir? Is it okay, sir?
Yeah, that's completely fine.
Okay, sir. Right. Thank you, sir.
So if you can see the screen, yeah. So here are our contact details as well.
Sir, I have one more question.
Yes.
Suppose the model we have created that was entire volume model for
Okay.
for FEA purpose, if I am talking. So for different age groups, the bone densities vary.
Right.
So how we can consider that bone density parameter into this simulation things?
Okay. Let me just show you one thing. So you can see the current screen
Yeah,
with the
something is
model.
loading with 46%.
Okay, no. So let me just share again. So now this screen is visible.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just quickly show you what I have here. So as you said that bone density differs using for different age groups. So that thing can be shown in the data in this scans using the grayscale intensity, right? The intensity will differ for different age groups.
Okay.
Okay. So once we have that, once we have the difference in that grayscale intensity of that bone, then I can go ahead and configure this model using materials and don't give a homogeneous property because obviously it will not be same for every age group. So
Okay.
what I will do, I will go to grayscale base.
Okay.
Now I have the complete histogram for the grayscale values for this specific data set. And I can select a specific region. So this is not completely defined right now because this is completely done randomly. So in this case, so I can define subparts inside it. So subparts define different material categories. So in this case, I am defining one subpart as bone structure, another one as implant, and another one maybe as the soft tissue structure. So for the bone structure, I want to define if the grayscale varies this much. So here you can see different steps, right?
Okay.
So if the grayscale varies between this, how should I explain? Okay, so here you can see more clearly. So for every subpart and every part of that subpart itself, I can define a different material property.
Okay.
Okay, for different grayscale regions. So this will give different properties to different type of grayscale intensity. So if you are going to do the simulation in which this thing also has to be taken into consideration, then we will have to do something like this. Obviously, this will take much more time in
Yes.
preparing,
Yes,
but this
definitely.
is the most accurate way to do that.
Yeah.
To define the material properties step by step.
Okay. And this is completely then it will be a material non-linearity. So for a particular generalized case, how long computational hours it will take for solving one case?
So that depends on many things. First of all, it depends on the hardware specification that you have. Another thing is how many elements you have created.
Yeah,
So let me see if the model is generated yet or not. It is still generating. So the number of elements play a key role in deciding the time for simulation. If you have more number of elements, the tetrahedral elements or hexahedral elements, obviously that will take much more time and the results will be much more accurate. So you have to decide the balance between these two things, accuracy and time and hardware. So these things have to be decided when you are going for simulation.
okay.
You can reduce the number of elements,
Elements,
but
yeah.
that will also decrease the accuracy.
So in the participants, I request if anybody is having any question or any query, you please ask the speaker.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear.
Hello. Hi, sir. Actually, just for curiosity, I wanted to ask a question regarding, sir. Nowadays, for bone printing, suppose now means only metal is being used, or some other material is also developed, like which is suitable as bone for real implant printing. Only metal is being used nowadays, or some
Actually, sir,
materials is available.
actually, I'm not that much qualified to answer this, but I understand that there are various properties based on their positions. Like if you are going for a hip implant, the material
Yes.
property may differ than the arms implant. So maybe you can do a little bit research on this. I'm sure you will get some good answers through some researchers who work in this field.
Okay. 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 Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So any other questions from the participant side? So now I think there is no question. So I must say here that this was a really very interesting and informative session. So thank you, Jigyasu sir, for sharing your knowledge with us. And definitely, if in future we will work in this direction, we will try to do some collaborations. So,
Sure.
Pankaj sir, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you, Jigyasu sir and Pradeep sir also for arranging wonderful session on the simulation using Simpleware software. So certainly in future we will do some collaboration with you people and for doing some research kind of the work.
Thank you very much, sir. For inviting us for this session. I hope people got some good idea about the medical image processing complete workflow and also about tools that are available out there for doing these kind of works. So please reach out to me if anyone has any other specific queries related to this field. I'm available on these nodes, and you can also contact my colleague Pradeep as well.
Okay. So now we will close our session. So sir, you people can leave the session.
Sure. So thank you, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. So dear participants, I am posting the link for feedback and do the feedback in the chat box I have posted, and in the WhatsApp also I'm going to post there. And again we will meet at 2:30, and that session will be taken by Dr. Amit Kumar Jain. Any other things, Jayaprakash?
No, sir. Now we can close.
Okay. So thank you, participants. We will again meet at 2:30 sharply.
Thank you so much, sir, for inviting us.
Thank you,
you,
sir,
sir. Thank
for
you, sir.
arranging welcome wonderful session on using software, how to analyze, how to optimize, what are the different parameters. From that we can get it the simulated work, and from that.
Thank you,
optimize.
sir. Thank you. So in future, sir, if any participant of any faculty have any query, please feel free to contact us.
Yes,
We'll be
I
happy
have
to
your
help
contact,
them in
and
their.
we will share with the participant, and even from our departments also, we are working on that medical related implant fabrication and simulation work. For in this regard, we will also contact you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.